think we're okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
not to interrupt all the chatting, but I'm going to interrupt all the chatting and say good morning, everybody. We have with us Julie and Bistro again, and Jim. So now we have an adorable dog to look at as well, which will give you something fun to look at during the service. So if you would please join with us in our opening song, Divine Spirit in Me.
One presence, one power, divine spirit in me. One presence, one power, divine spirit in me. Thought to prayer, prayer to action, divine purpose, divine attraction. One presence, one power, divine spirit in me. One presence, one power, divine spirit in me. Thought to prayer, prayer to action, divine purpose, divine attraction. One presence, one power, divine spirit in me. One presence, one power, divine spirit in me.
Good morning, everyone, both here in the sanctuary. Hi, you guys, and at home. We have quite the special service this morning. So, first of all, we have Bistro. Is that the dog? Oh my goodness, she just makes you smile, doesn't she? She wags her tail. She follows Julie everywhere. So in my welcome, I thought of when I was a kiddo in catechism classes, and they told us that in the Bible it says that you should tie up your camel. You can have faith in God, but you should also tie up your camel so it doesn't get stolen. Well, so I wanted to know where in the Bible it said that. Well, AI said, it's not in the Bible. Mohammed said that. Well, the nuns steered me wrong, but in any case, it was my value of practical spirituality, to have faith in the goodness, to have faith in God. Of course, you don't know who God's going to be the kindest to. You know, the person who wants to take your camel, or you, who's, owns the camel. So, in any case, I want to tell you, I turned into Elmer Fudd. So I got the $200 worth of plants for our front yard, and I became a farmer again. And I'm like, okay, I got to plant them, and then the bunny rabbits. They could mow them down in a day or two. $200 eaten up by bunny rabbits. So that's what got me thinking about, well, how do I tie up this camel? Because I'm praying to my guardian angels, and maybe there's a 50% chance that they'll be there at night, but maybe not. So I couldn't sleep all Friday night. I got to plant these. They can't keep sitting in these containers. Turns out they're all root bound, and then I didn't know what to do about that. So I do have them all in the ground, but I am going to have to dig everyone up because I learned on YouTube how to free up the roots. So I have to do that yet. But still, I'm not sleeping. The point is, how do I sleep at night? How can I connect with my faith? Because you kind of need your sleep as a human being. You will go psychotic without it. So then I remembered the daily word for today is on flow. I'm like, okay, that's still not helping me. So I turned on my little app, which was a meditation on connecting with the divine, the consciousness, awareness. And it was on flow. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. At least you're listening to me. And then I actually, 3 in the morning, I'm like, oh, I'm starting to have some peace. So I listened to it a second time. And then I fell asleep. And by this time, I realized I really have to get a fence. And I put the word out, and my dear partner, Thomas Dusterheft, put up a fence. And it took him, I bet you, easily 4 hours. Oh, 2.5. But I can tell you, the two of us slept better than we have in probably a year, because it was a lot of physical labor. So that's my story about practical spirituality, and also being very grateful for being able to connect with flow, but also tying up the camel. So, okay. Let's move on to this unique privilege of a service. So let's speak together our vision here at Unity of Appleton. A spiritually awakened world, united in love, empowered in truth, and alive with infinite possibilities. And our mission together, awakening divine potential in all through love, learning, prayer, and positive living. And our values: acceptance, compassion, connection, diversity, love, peace, prosperity, and spiritual growth. See, there's enough food for the rabbits and for my plants. Prosperity. And we celebrate our children by saying together, Unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. And today, our fourth principle, we will speak that out loud together. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life, especially at 3 in the morning. And our daily word is on flow. As I picture a crystal clear stream rushing down a steep mountain slope, I also see it gathering in still pools, calm, deep, and life-giving. This image reminds me that my words and actions flow from a peace that passes understanding, nourished by divine good. Open to this infinite presence, my heart is steadied and my mind is focused. The words I speak and the choices I make become rich and meaningful. They are not surface ripples, but carry the depth and power of spiritual truth. As water flows from mountaintop to coastline, the presence of Spirit flows into every part of my life. Divine love pours into human experience. I am both the rushing waters and the deep pools. And from this stream of wisdom, I speak words that give life. And from Proverbs, the words of the mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a gushing stream. Ha! I love that. So let's say this together at the top. Flow. The words I speak flow from infinite wisdom.
So this service, some schedule's a little bit different than normal, so while Julie gets herself set up, I'm going to introduce her and Jim. And I want to give her justice because this lady's got a whole very impressive resume. So she sings, since 2008, she's been singing at Independent Assistant and Memory Care as a guest singer. She's the leader of Julie Thompson's High Standards Jazz Standards in Maine and Wisconsin since 2005. She is the JT&T duo or trio singing obscure songs everyone recognizes. I love that. since 2016. She's been in a duo of blues and rocks with Dean Richards since 2017. She's a singer with the Command Performance Big Band since 2016. She's a guest singer, which is how we know about her. Thank you, Fred. For Unity Center, Unitarian Universalist, and United Church in Christ since the 1990s. I love the name of this band. She's the founding member of Dangerous Folk, because, folk, dangerous, love it. Anyway, trio of classic 60s folk for 20 plus years. She has been in just so many different things, and we're just really lucky to have her. And so please welcome Julie Anne Lovely Thompson.
Thank you. Thank you, Paige.
And
You know,
Jim.
if I didn't have you, if you hadn't shown me your harmony chops, I wouldn't have prioritized coming for. I love her. So I'm lucky, and you're lucky to have her. We're going to do a meditation first, and then go into the lesson. And this song, I'll tell you who wrote it after we play it. I did want to say this, quoting, "I'm very concerned that our society is much more interested in the information than wonder, in noise rather than silence. And I feel that we need a lot more wonder and a lot more silence in our world." Fred Rogers. Peace and quiet, peace, 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 peace and quiet, peace, 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 peace and quiet, peace, peace, peace. We all want peace, we all want peace. Peace and quiet, peace, 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 peace and quiet, peace, 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 peace and quiet, peace, peace, peace. We all want peace, we all want peace. Won't you be my neighbor? Today, let's talk about America's icon and a favorite television neighbor, Mr. He had a lot to say about how to make peace with others, and that includes peace with our internal feelings. And being a good neighbor, we're good. It won't stop. Is no small task when people are polarized and name-calling has become the norm. Now, Fred Rogers, if anybody's too young to know who he is, or if you've forgotten the details, he was the host of the preschool television series, Mr. Rogers' from 1968 to 2001. He was also a Presbyterian minister, and he also had a degree in music, composition, and piano. And I believe that I've come to this, although I could find it nowhere specifically, that his theme of being a good neighbor came rooted in his values and understandings of the teachings of Jesus. Never thought of that as a kid. He never talked about Jesus on his show or anything, but I loved Mr. Rogers, didn't I, Mom? Today we'll also touch on the community values of the Lakota Nation. Boys and girls, can you say that? Lakota? Good job. First, let's begin a couple thousand years ago with a young Jewish man who some called the Messiah, the Savior. Well, Unity calls him the way shower, demonstrating the Christ that lives within all of us. And he often called himself the Son of Man. And I had forgotten that. But what does that mean? Well, Unity interprets that is the true way a human can be with divinity fully engaged. So he didn't call himself the Savior. He called himself Son of Man. He declared, first and greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And the second commandment is love your neighbor as yourself. But who is my neighbor? Luke 10:29. An expert in the law asked, and who is my neighbor? Now, rabbinical teaching at that time taught that one's neighbor could be narrowly defined as a fellow observant Jew. So tax collectors, Gentiles, Samaritans were excluded as neighbors. Shows you how radical it was when Jesus replied to this expert in the law with a parable that made a Samaritan a hero. A man's traveling, you know this story, but I think it never hurts to hear some of these again. A man was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho, which I learned is about 17 miles, and it's pretty rugged terrain. He's attacked and robbed and left for dead. It's a dangerous place to go because of the rocks and everything. There can be people hanging out, and he was on the side of the road, destroyed basically, and a priest walked by, sees the man, but crosses to the other side. And then a Levite does the same. So in essence, two Jews, both of whom were from the priestly line of Israelites, failed to show love to their fellow Israelite. However, along came a Good Samaritan. And this is a person who was disdained, as I said, by the Jews for centuries of cultural, religious differences. And it was the Samaritan who stopped to help the injured man, and he cared for his wounds. He put him on his own donkey and brought him to an inn and paid for him to stay at the inn. So this person, who was considered unclean and outside of God's covenant, demonstrated compassion for someone who would be considered an enemy. Jesus asked the scribe which of these three passerbys was a neighbor to the injured man. The expert in law replied, the one who had mercy on him. And in Luke 10:37, Jesus said, go and do likewise. He was radical. That was a radical story. He also said, I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. I interpret that as you're really not representing your Father or the graces of God if you don't pray for those who persecute you and love your enemies. And in this part of the Bible, he also says the sun rises on the evil and the good and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? If you greet only your people, your own people, what are you doing more than others? So that first song was Peace and Quiet, I should say, was a composition of Mr. Rogers. This is another composition called Sometimes People Are Good. Thank you, Jim, for being here. Dog wrangler and guitar extraordinaris. Sometimes people are good, and they do just what they should. But the very same people who are good sometimes are the very same people who are bad sometimes. It's funny, but it's true. It's the same, isn't it, for me? Sometimes people get mad and they feel like being bad. But the very same people who are mad sometimes are the very same people who are glad sometimes. It's funny, but it's true. It's the same, isn't it, for me? And sometimes people are good, and they do just what they should. But the very same people who are good sometimes are the very same people who are bad sometimes. It's funny, but it's true. It's the same, isn't it, for me? Isn't it the same for you? I have the same place in my heart for Mr. Rogers as I do Pete Seeger. Just this sense of safety and care. But I did tell you I want to talk about the Lakota nations, boys and girls. And you might wonder why. What connection is that? Well, what happened was I was putting this talk together, and I felt like I was missing something. So I asked for some help, and I dreamt and woke up remembering that I had met a chief, and I still heard the word when I woke up, Lakota. So I went and researched it. I thought, well, what's that? And you'll see how it makes so much sense to speak of what their life is based on: affinity, living in harmony with others, having a sense of belonging to one's community, valuing interpersonal relationships, trusting one another. They adhered to an emphasis on generosity. So resources are shared freely in times of good and bad, and the sharing was not limited to possessions. It extended sharing of emotions, sympathy, compassion, understanding, kindness, and the sharing of personal time. They believed their generous acts and support for each other made them better people and built the communal harmony, which I think basically is what you do in a fellowship, in a church setting, and different kinds of groups. That's hopefully what the tenets are, and of course we speak of them in unity. The other thing that I found very interesting, and I thought this is no wonder that it was sent to me as a message to connect it with this this talk today, is they had have a high value on children. And so responsibility for raising a child in the Lakota traditions is for the entire community, not just the child's mother or father. In fact, the aunts and uncles have parental duties to their nieces and nephews. A proverb that comes from the Lakotas is, "The ones that matter the most are the children." And also, grown men can learn from very little children, for the hearts of little children are pure. Therefore, the Great Spirit may show them many things that older people miss. And I have an opportunity to do music with small children, and it's definitely an experience that I have. It always sets me right when I see these kids having, just coming up with ideas and suggestions in music class. Little teeny kids I'm talking about, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. So it makes sense. Does it make sense to you that that was a message to me, that to bring it into this talk, the whole concept of Lakota's outlook on children and community? Fred Rogers has lots of books, and lots of books written about him. There's one called The Simple Faith of Mr. Rogers, Spiritual Insights from the World's Most Beloved Neighbor. I admit I have not read it, but I have discovered that he writes about his mentor, who at the seminary, his professor, Dr. William Orr, and he felt like he was like one of the closest men to sainthood in that he had met. And one of the quotes that he gives that Dr. William Orr shared with him is, "There is one thing that evil cannot stand, and that is forgiveness." So it seemed to me I couldn't talk about loving thy neighbor without forgiveness, because that's got to go hand in hand. It sounds easy when it's easy, like when when Jesus was saying, when it's your own people, it's easy to love, no problem. That's not the test. It's the difficult ones, the ones that aren't in your political party or your or don't agree with some of your values. So we are called to forgive. I think that is the only way to love our neighbors. And we're going to sing a song with the help over here of the wonderful musicians. I don't know if you're going to, you're going to play from there? Okay. Oh, sure.
Whoops, go back one, please.
Come again.
The
So
slide.
I'm telling Laura, go back one. Yep, that's that one.
By the way, Bistro, who I call my eye candy, when she comes with me, so thank you for letting her come along today. She's so funny. I can read her mind. So she was like, yeah, this is fine, this little pink blanket, but it's not soft enough. Where else can I go? She tried to go in my chair, so now she's nice and happy for a while over there.
There are many people who will say they're Christians and they live like Christians on the Sabbath day. But come Monday morning till the coming Sunday, they will fight their neighbor all along the way. Oh, you don't love God if you don't love your neighbor, if you gossip about him, if you never have mercy, if he gets into trouble and you don't try to help him, then you don't love your neighbor and you don't love God. In the Holy Bible, in the book of Matthew, read the 18th chapter in the 21st verse. Jesus plainly tells us that we must have mercy. There's a special warning in the 35th verse. Oh, you don't love God if you don't love your neighbor, if you gossip about him, if you never have mercy, if he gets into trouble and you don't try to help him, if you then you don't love God. There's a God in heaven, and you've got to love him if you want salvation and a home on high. If you say you love him while you hate your neighbor, then you don't have religion, you just told a lie. Oh, you don't love God, if you don't love your neighbor, if you gossip about him, if you never have mercy, if he gets into trouble and you don't try to help him, then you don't love your neighbor and you don't love God. One more time. Oh, you don't love God, you don't love your neighbor, if you gossip about him, if you never have mercy, if he gets into trouble and you don't try to help him, then you don't love your neighbor and you don't love God. Then you don't love your neighbor and you don't love God.
Thank you for doing that. I figure that song pretty much sums up the lesson, I think, today. But I did want to tell you, in case you don't know those Bible verses that was spoken of here, 18th chapter, 21st verse, special warning in the 35th verse. So I thought I'd tell you, and it's in the parable of the unmerciful servant. Peter came to Jesus, asked, "How many times shall I forgive my brother and sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times?" Jesus answers, "I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times 7, or 77 times. There's a few different interpretations. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him, to the king. He was unable to pay. The master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. "Be patient with me," he begged. "I will pay back everything." The servant's master took pity and canceled the debt, let him go. But when that servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins, and he grabbed him and choked him. "Pay back what you owe me." His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, "Be patient with me and I will pay you back." But he refused. Instead, he went off, had this man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. Other servants saw what happened. They were outraged and went and told their master everything. The master called the servant in. "You wicked servant," he said, "I canceled all the debt because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you?" And he handed him back to his jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all that he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart. Now, this sounds really fire and brimstone, but I love, in fact, I used to just go to other fire and brimstone churches to kind of have a moment of like interpreting the way I feel like a loving God really meant all this. And to me, that we create our own personal hell. You know, we torture ourselves if we're, asking for forgiveness here, but then never giving forgiveness to anybody else. It's going to create such, dystopian or, discordant in our own self. And so that's the lesson for forgiveness. I have a few stories, and I want to make sure. I want to tell you this story about Fred Rogers. It was misinterpreted by the reporter what happened, or why Fred Rogers said this to a young man who had cerebral palsy. And in 1998, Fred was invited to visit him when he was near, because it was part of a foundation, excuse me, to support youth that were troubled, and so it was designed to help children in need. Quick sip here. When his mother told this young 14-year-old, actually, that Mr. Rogers was coming to see him, the youngster was very nervous. So he was convinced that he was bad because he had a very difficult upbringing before, I guess, when he was from caretakers, not his mother, but some other caretakers. And he used to hit himself, strike out on himself. He used a computer to communicate. And he would often say that he didn't want to live anymore. And he was sure that God didn't like what was inside him any more than he did. He had always watched Mr. Rogers, and he was, again, 14, still watching Mr. Rogers. And when Fred visited him, he was soon to meet him, the boy was so nervous he started hitting himself again. And the mom took the boy into the other room to help him calm down, and Rogers just waited. And then when the boy came back, he said, I would like you to do something for me. Would you do, I get very emotional on this. Would you do something for me? And the baffled youngster said yes via his computer. Mr. Rogers asked if the boy would pray for him. This time the boy was astonished. No one had ever asked for his prayers. He had always been prayed for. He finally told Rogers that he would try. And according to the boy's mother, her son kept Mr. Rogers in his prayers. Later, the reporter, his name is Tom Junod, complimented Rogers on his understanding of the needs of the young boy and of how asking for something that gave the child a purpose that no one else had ever done. Rogers looked puzzled by that assessment and then surprised, and he said, "Oh, heavens, no, Tom. I didn't ask him for his prayers for him. I asked for me. I asked him because I think that anyone who has gone through challenges like that must be very close to God. I asked him because I wanted his intercession." Fred Rogers, humble, and true, really true. So my closing thoughts that, there's reflection, so I can't really see the time, you guys. All right. Is that good neighbors, it doesn't always mean easy neighbors, right? We can be pushed, I'm saying this, into a spiral of evolution. I think I've accepted some of it. I've accepted some of the challenge because it can serve as some growth. I live in North Milwaukee, and if you watch the news, you'll hear my neighborhood referenced to shootings and various activities. And when I first moved there in 2019, the area was very loud, all hours of day and night. Horns, racing cars, parties, music, dogs barking for long periods of time. I've sometimes called to say this dog's been barking for an hour and a half. People talking really loudly, fighting, cussing, police called. So after a while, I made a few practices of my own, a kind of a prayer for my neighborhood. I made a list of what I wanted to hear. Children playing, rain falling, adults laughing, people greeting each other, high-frequency music, birds singing. And over the years, the neighborhood has relaxed, and I do get to hear more of what I prefer. And my mom confirms this because she comes every 6 months or so, and she has said, it's quieter here. It's gotten quieter and quieter. And I actually do have a little neighbor boy who's been there since he was just a wee one. I saw him when he was carried in by his parents, and then he's been out playing and had his room. It's a duplex, so it's right next to my house, and the window's right there. So we would say hi through the window. On one birthday, I stuck up a birthday card right at the window that he could see. And I think we've forgotten each other's names, so guess what he calls me? Hi, neighbor. So cute. So we call each other neighbor. Hi, neighbor. Another practice a few years ago that I began, because I would find myself getting angry at the commotions that would be outside, and I'd open up the front door and I'd look outside and send some judgment in the direction, the behavior that I found unpleasant. And I soon, realized that this is not going to do me any good or the neighborhood any good. So I wrote a note on the inside of my door. And when I would go to the door to open it, to glare out onto the street, I now encountered the note to myself. What would love do? What would love do? So we'll leave you with that. We're going to sing a song called Turning of the World. We're going to use that for the offertory, just to keep everybody on schedule today. And so we'll be right back to you with some music after these announcements. Thank you.
So I believe this is the time for the offertory. Is that correct? So now we move, let's see. Now we move from prayer to our affirmation of prosperity. And this is a time when those of us who feel Unity of Appleton is our spiritual home practice putting spirit first in our financial life. This practice prospers the spiritual community we love and supports our own spiritual growth and prosperity. Please give whatever amount Spirit guides you to give, whether it is in person or electronically. Whatever that amount is, take that gift into your heart and bless it with your love. Feel free to bless the plate as it passes by and let yourself feel grateful to God in you as your one source. Then please join in our affirmation of prosperity. Together, please. Unity of Appleton is alive with the energy of spirit, in the flow of divine abundance, and radiant with unlimited possibilities. And our celebration of giving and receiving together. Divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source.
I think we have lyrics.
Yeah, Laura, if you can go back to those lyrics of Turning of the World. It's the one with the world in the hand.
We'll sing it through twice, Turning of the World, and then we'll insert, as it's called, zipper, Loving of the World.
Let us sing this song for the turning of the world, that we may turn as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning.
We're going to sing it again. We're going to say love instead of turning or loving.
Let us sing this song for the loving of the world, that we may love as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our loving. echo, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning.
Thank you, Unity of Appleton, for coming together and for supporting the spiritual community. And thank you very much. And so it is. Thank you. So, an affirmative prayer of health. If you care to, please close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Connecting with your breath. Bringing your awareness into this expansive, loving space of one's heart. Knowing that you are and we are all children of God. And we are open and receptive to receiving our highest good. And we are grateful. And so it is. So we have some announcements. Yoga Nidra, Tuesday the 19th, 6 to 7 here with Teresa for a gentle nervous system reset. She does a beautiful job. So please show up, bring your pillows, blankets, supports, and it's a $20 suggested offering. Our spiritual wellness retreat is the best date ever, June 6th. Pre-registration is required to attend this event. You can scan the QR code or go to our website, unityofappleton.org. There are paper copies of the registration form on the Connect and Serve table, along with a volunteer sign-up sheet. So please sign up today. And if you have Facebook or other such things to share and spread the word or talk with your neighbors and friends and family, please do. Okay, and Kay, our president.
Yes, because this is a really important fundraiser for Unity of Appleton. Any monies that get made that day go directly to our lighting fund. So please.
Turn the. Yeah, let the light shine. Spread the word. So, close your eyes and raise your hand if you've already spread the word. I want to know. Okay. Well, you can lower your hands, and I can tell you there's maybe about a quarter of us here that have spread the word. So the other 3/4 of you are challenged, and the other quarter keep on spreading. Okay. Important things to know about the retreat. It's only $35 for a full day of self-discovery and growth. And then in addition, there is lunch of $10. There are choices available. See the registration form. Again, pre-registration and payment are required so we can prepare lunch and space. And on the registration form, choose which presentations you'd like to attend because some of them are occurring at the same time. And there is an outdoor wellness fair with the vendor booths are included in the registration. This day goes from 8:45 until 3:30 on June 6th.
But what day is that on?
Saturday, June 6th. Be there or be square. Except for me, because I won't be there, because I'll be in Oregon. Save the date. Town hall meeting, June 14th. I'm still in Oregon, so you all get to talk instead of me. Okay, you guys, let's conclude with our prayer of protection, if you care to stand. And the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Gotta thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Gotta thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Sometimes life is good, but then trouble comes my way. But whatever happens, God, I thank you for this day. When I'm feeling troubled, I lift my hands and say, it will be done in the rain or sun. Oh, it's a beautiful day. I don't want to act too high and mighty, 'cause tomorrow I may fall down on my face. God, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. God, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. I give thanks when I'm feeling lonely. I give thanks when I'm feeling bad. I give thanks in the morning and thanks in the evening and thanks when I'm feeling sad. I don't want to act too high and mighty, 'cause tomorrow I may fall down on my face. God, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. God, I thank you for sunshine,